Alright, so today it's going to be a little bit of a short video. Hopefully I won't be postponing this for too long, because I'm just here to basically show you the basics of how to move around on Player 2 on a cool arcade stick, right? The superior movement device. So, Player 2 is slightly more ambiguous with the way that it works, but I will be honest with you, the simple mechanics of moving back and forward with Player 2 is a lot easier than on Player 1, because there's a lot less hand gymnastics coordinated. So, pretty much what you want to do to be able to, backdash on Player 2 is actually quite simple. So, usually, if you're on Player 1, you've got these weird little finger motions that you want to do. So you go back, you hold down back, you release, and then you get that one, neutral, and then you get another back input. So, you see that? Yeah, it's really weird, and there's quite a lot of, finger movements, and honest to God, it's a lot more harder than on Player 2. Because on Player 2, all that you really have to do is use basically your palm. So I would suggest using this part here. You got your, middle and pointer finger, and then right here in the middle. And you're going to be using that to pretty much, kind of coerce the stick to do these inputs. And maybe if you want, hook them in. The other two fingers, pretty much you can do whatever the fuck you want with them. You can have them outside, you can have them inside, whatever suits you. So, the way that you would do a backdash, as I said, pretty simple. You do a back input, down back input, and then another back input, and you release. So, it would kind of look like this. You see that? Now, I'm kind of fucking it up because I'm doing a little slow, but basically, it's nothing but simple, inputs. You see what I mean? If you're looking at my hand here, I'm kind of like using, as I said, this part right here, gripping it, and then doing this claw motion down. You see this? Kind of like, actually you can get a better angle here, back, and then this down back. You see that? So zero space, you just hook it in. Because if you don't hook it in, if you leave neutral, then what you get is you get a quarter circle back, and you don't want that, because if you get that, then you've got this motion. And of course, that's very symbolic as well with a with Player 1, where a lot of people, when they backdash, they let the stick go into neutral before they can, input down back. So what usually happens is this happens. You see? Or like they're too late and they do this. So, same principle pretty much applies here, but it's just so much more easier. Because, you're not supposed to use your thumb and other sorts of things. You just kind of use, as I said, this part right here. That's all that you need. You can even like hold it like a gun. So like, you see this? It's gonna hold it like a gun. You press it in. You see, just hook it in. And that's pretty much all that you need to know with a down back input. So you don't leave any, space for your character to go into neutral. Because obviously you do not want that happening. So yeah, you just have to follow this simple motion. It's not very hard to do. Now, obviously I'm not the best stick player, and I'm terrible at explaining things. But this is pretty much my way, the way that I've been doing it, and I have a feeling that, I've been pretty successful with it. At least, online and stuff like that. It's definitely something that you kind of need to work on. Because if you don't have it, completely in your muscle memory, you know? You'll start doing backsways like this. But doing it slowly doesn't ever hurt. I am getting a lot of backsways simply because I've been used to, you know, wave dashing and stuff like that on Player 1, which I'm actually going to show as well because, you know, my friend wanted me to demonstrate it as well. So why don't we go ahead and do that? If I do remember, it's under simple select. And we will do... fuck it, let's do Jin. Just like that. So, wave dashing on Player 1 is actually quite simple. It's simple, but it's slow, if you know what I mean. Let me see here. Switch positions. There we go. So, you know, traditionally, the way that people would wave dash is, you know, just like you would do on Player 2. You know, forward, basically forward input, and then a quarter circle, and then forward again. So this would be the, you know, this would be the input. So if we just go back a little bit, I'll show you exactly how you can mimic this sort of movement on Player 1. So what you would need to do is, again, you are using this middle part right here in order to kind of hook the stick in again, right? But this time around, we're not just doing a simple down-back input from forward, right? What you're going to be wanting to do is after forward, after that one frame of forward, the way you would do the quarter circle is you would kind of like... I don't know how to explain this, but if you just see my hand movement, you kind of like... You see that? I guess if I use just this finger, it might be a little easier. But this is kind of one of the ways that you would hook it in. You see that? So it's not like an instantaneous like this, right? Like, you may be able to get away with it if you're playing someone like Kazuya, maybe. But doing this instantly? Nah. Terrible. Terrible. You definitely do need to leave some sort of space behind, as you can see. You know, since I'm blessed with godlike genetics, I cannot backdash properly, but I can wave dash at pretty much the speed of light by using this technique. Watch this. Again, forward, you kind of hook it in, you go down and then in. Down and then in. That's pretty much the one way that you would get this input out. And of course, it's not really a wave dash if you can't continue it, so you do have to add that forward input in the end as well, as you can see. Hopefully that should be clear enough, at least hand motion wise, because my explanation is really bad. It's really bad. I don't know how to explain things, but hopefully at least the hand motions that I've shown you can somewhat, you know, be applied here. You know, for example, this. You know, it's it takes some practice being able to hook this in and get that, you know, down, forward input. You know, the classical 2-3-6. It definitely takes some practice, but honestly, it's still probably easier to get a consistent wave dash on Player 1 if you're using this type of technique than if you were on Player 2. Because I feel like, you know, a Player 2 wave dash is pretty simplified. Just like our boy Adrian Main Man Swee said it once. You kind of like roll it in with your fingers, as you can see. Just roll it in. and you kind of get this you know, you get this cool motion here. By just rolling in the fingers. If you see the command history, that is indeed a quarter circle. Maybe it might be a tiny bit different if you're using a ball top, because at the moment, you know, I am using a bat lever. It's not exactly a Korean bat. It's some sort of American American bat. I don't know what. It comes from the Nakon Daija, right? Very good feeling bat, but the ball top, I do feel for player 2, it was much more faster to use it. Probably a little bit more comfortable for Mishimas and such, because I just kind of did not have that issue first time around of wave dashing and all that other stuff. Backdashing got a tiny bit easier. But for ball top, speed is key pretty much. And even if you are using a ball top, most of these techniques will pretty much carry over. You can still use the middle part of these two fingers right here, you know, the cross section, just as comfortably, you know, on this like top side right here, where you will most probably be holding it. You know, you're not going to be using 3 fingers because, I don't know, that's just fucking weird. Gotta be like an alien or something. And then all 4, gotta be a caveman. So yeah. I feel like you probably have this adapted already. As you can see here, the gun form is what I'd like to call it. And pretty much have gotten used to it at this point. As you should. As you absolutely should. And the trick with having these 2 fingers under, there's not really much for me to like tell you about it, except that sometimes it helps me, like when I'm, you know, let's say like if I'm backdashing or something, it won't allow me to do a full, you know, like a down. It'll just instantly skip the down back. I don't know if that only helps because, you know, you're adding some sort of like a line here to where it won't want to go down because your fingers are pressing up against it, so it just instantly goes down to a down back. If that's like a bat only strategy, I'm not sure if it works for ball top, but I would suggest you to try it for anybody that's watching right now. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I can give advice on when it comes to player 2 movement. Oh, and of course, let's not forget just overall moving around. You're gonna be using your thumb as the as basically the one thing you're gonna use to go right, as you can see. So, you know, you should get that down. You're gonna be using your thumb quite a lot. And obviously, for the rest of vertical or horizontal movement, you're gonna be using this finger right here, or maybe this finger, or this one, or this one. Depends on you. It entirely depends on you. But I do definitely recommend using the middle finger for moving. So, you know, it would kind of look like this. As you can see. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple stuff. I feel like if you just kind of go to player 2, you'll eventually kind of adapt these things almost instantly, because that's how people work. These techniques are meant to be adapted almost instantly and then improved upon. Because after all, you know, this is an arcade stick. It's kind of, you know, you grab it once, you may use it incorrectly for a tiny bit, and then you finally get the feeling and everything just kind of starts going right, you know? And then from that day on, you just start practicing, and it only gets better and better as your form increases and improves over time. But that is all that I'm going to be presenting for today. Hopefully this camera angle wasn't too scuffed, and hopefully the microphone wasn't too scuffed. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I know it's terribly made, terrible advice, but hopefully at least somebody gets something out of it from watching Napsey's terrible stick guide to Player 2 and Player 1 Wavedash.